Welcome to Bird Camp Radio, where the coveys rise from the high pines, marsh valleys, sagebrush seas, and the shelf rock ledges. Here at camp, the fire's always glowing, the dogs are never far, and the stories of birds, wild places, and the upland life are just beginning. This is Bird Camp Radio. Welcome back, everyone, to the Bird Camp Radio podcast. I'm your host, Kellen Golightly, and we're excited for our 15th episode here with Bret Wonnacott. If you don't know him, you got to get to know him. Bret's an amazing guy, and we've had the opportunity to meet him once, and we're excited to have him on the podcast today. But a little bit earlier, Bret sent in his bio, which I'm going to read to you guys right now. Bret grew up in northern Utah with the tradition of hunting, fishing, and the great outdoors. His father was a breeder of German short-haired pointers. He remembers the first time his childhood eyes saw a bird dog on point. From that day on, he was completely captivated by a dog frozen in time, nostrils flaring, mouth tasting the scent of the bird that he lives for, and yet resisting, by instinct, the urge to pounce and flush the bird. The second he was in a position to have a dog of his own, he started a pup. He has lived a lifestyle focused on bird dogs, bird hunting, dog trialing, and waterfowling ever since. Bret loves to compete. He enjoys competing with his English setters in the NSTRA trials and has a deep respect for all the dog trial games and the people that play them. He has trained and handled his dogs to multiple NSTRA championships and multiple regional championships. He enjoys helping people, especially first-timers, train their dogs. He is a champion duck caller, having won numerous state championships, a regional championship, and has competed at the World Duck Calling Championship in Stuttgart, Arkansas 8 times. More recently, he discovered a passion for writing. It started with short stories shared on early forms of social media. Later, he started a blog and wrote a few magazine articles, but this wasn't the right fit. One day, while he was walking behind one of his bird dogs in rural Idaho, inspiration hit. He started researching the next day, and 6 months later, wrote the first page of a full-length fiction novel set in the 1950s, A Millionaire's Dream. He is working on finishing a second book soon. Bret and his wife, Angie, both live in northern Utah with their beloved pack of English setters. He is a long-standing board member of the Utah Chukar and Wildlife Foundation. He has the opportunity to visit several high school FFA programs each year to teach about bird dogs, the American model of wildlife management, and hunting role in that system. He is a regular contributor to KSL Outdoors, a local outdoor television show. He teaches seminars on bird hunting, bird dogs, and duck calling. Everyone, that's Bret Wonnacott. Bret, how are you?
Doing great, Kellen. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Of course. We're excited to have you on here with us today. And as many of you listeners know, before we really get into the meat of the podcast, we like to play a quick little game of rapid fire around the campfire with each guest. This game consists of 10 questions about upland game hunting. They're quick and easy. It is timed. We do have a leaderboard, so the faster the guest answers the questions, the better they're off on that leaderboard. So, do you have any questions, Bret?
What's the score? Who's winning?
Oh, right now, let's see. Our winner right now is Tanner Cruson from Oregon. So he's our hunting guide out of Oregon. On Hell's Canyon. His leaderboard time is 35.52 seconds.
All right.
So that's what you got to beat.
I'm going to need you to do your part.
I'll do my part. I'll go as fast as I possibly can.
I want progressive, quick reading of these questions.
Okay, here we go. All right. Ready, set, go. Favorite wild bird to chase?
The one I'm chasing right now.
Most challenging bird?
Physically chukars.
Favorite dog breed?
English setter.
Best bird for eating?
Rough grouse.
Go-to field snack?
A granola bar.
Dream hunting destination?
Within 2 hours of my house.
Favorite month to hunt?
November.
Game bag or vest?
Vest.
Solo hunt or with a group?
Solo.
Lead or steel shot?
Yes.
There we go. That's it. And we'll release that time at the end of the podcast, but it's looking pretty good. we're mixing it up a little bit, so that's good news. We catch a lot of people off guard with the questions sometimes.
Well, it's a competition, man. Yeah.
I know. I mean, that's a part of your bio right there. Got to be a competitor, right?
Right.
No, we're excited to have you on, and like I said before, what we like to do here on the Bird Camp Radio podcast is bring on uplanders from all over the country and Canada, and so far we've had several, and we are excited to have about 11 states, I believe, here. So Bret is actually here from Utah, another Utah uplander, but his knowledge expands immensely in this category. So I personally am a little intimidated, but I shouldn't be. He's a great guy, and honestly,
Stop it. You don't need to be intimidated here.
But seriously, if you guys get the opportunity to meet him, he is an amazing man and has amazing bird dogs.
That's nice of you to say that. I appreciate that.
Of course. So, kind of just getting started here, Bret, we just want to take it back to your roots. If you just want to kind of expound on how it was growing up and how you got into the hunting lifestyle and kind of where it took off from there.
Yeah, so I grew up in Clinton, Utah, just, fairly close to the shores of the Great Salt Lake. Clinton back in those days was a agricultural community, largely, with a few, suburban subdivisions just moving in. So I grew up with pheasants in the backyard and, ducks and geese landing in the fields to the west of the house. It was, it was just part of life. And my mother and my father were divorced, and my stepdad was a big hunter, and my father was a big hunter. Like in the bio, it says my biological dad, he bred German Shorthairs, and my stepdad, he was more of a working class boots on the ground type hunter. He liked to hunt deer and he liked to hunt ducks, but I think he more liked to hunt ducks because I wanted to hunt ducks. And so I cut my teeth, back then you had to be 12 to hunt. And at 12 years old, I was hunting pheasants with my biological dad and ducks with my stepdad. And, a few grouse, we'd go grouse hunting and some things, rabbits and some things like that. And it just always appealed to me. And as I got older, the more I wanted to do it. I remember, and this will probably blow your mind away, but well, maybe not. You live in a place that you could probably do this still. But when I was, 13 or 14 years old, we would run home during pheasant season from junior high to get our guns and go hunting by ourselves. We'd run home, get our bird dogs, and be in the field out west of the house. And no one thought anything of it. I don't know what would happen if there were two 14-year-old kids walking down the street with guns in Clinton today, but I don't think it would be good. Anyway, so, I got a little bit older. I got into some trouble in high school and shortly after high school. Bird hunting and waterfowling was sort of what kept me level and kept me from getting, from digging into that world deeper. So I spend my time hunting and fishing and doing that kind of thing instead of getting in trouble. As soon as I was, able to have a dog, I started bringing up a puppy, and without e-collars, I didn't have anything. I had a lead rope and a bag of Olroyd dog food from Walmart, Anyway, and that's sort of where it started for me. So I come from that, hunting out the back door thing that we did in Utah traditions years ago that I think is sort of slipping away, sadly.
I definitely agree. Sadly, I didn't get to get raised during that time, but my dad, he actually grew up right next to the bird refuge here in Box Elder County, and his house was just a few miles down from it. So he got the opportunity. He grew up bird hunting like crazy, especially in that area, and that's kind of where the passion for me, where it came into me, kind of just came to it. I mean, I come from a divorced family as well, and I kind of get that perspective. I have a little bit of a different perspective on it because my dad, of course, he had big game, waterfowl, upland. My stepdad, he really came from like, he was really into the predator hunting and like the hound dogs, stuff like that. So it's been kind of interesting to be able to have a little bit of that mix between everything, kind of figure out what I like and what I don't. So that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I think it is. I like that predator hunting background. It's something I've never really dove into, but I think it's important for the for the sake of all birds, and especially in big game too, to keep predators under control. So I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I just have a quick question for you. So when it comes to the bird dogs, how have they allowed you to enjoy what you do and your passion?
Well, I mean, it's all about the bird dog when it comes to upland hunting for me. How do they enhance the experience? Is that a
Yes, that's
is that
fair.
a good way to phrase that?
Yes.
Well, they are the experience. Wandering through God's country in this open West on public lands with a dog running out front. It is the experience. Um, I mean, I like to speak about bird dogs like this. I like to paint a picture. So, what I like to tell people who've never hunted over a dog when I'm teaching them about dogs, I'll say, imagine this: at daybreak, you're in the mountains. The sun's just peeking over the hill. There's a little bit of dew on the grass. Some of the grass is still green, perhaps starting to turn yellow just a little bit. There's still a few leaves on the trees, and a little breeze tickles them. And you turn your dog loose, and he disappears into the forest. And you can hear him running, and he comes back and makes contact from time to time. And you're following him on a GPS system, so there's no fear of losing him or anything. After a while, your GPS system shows that your dog is on point, and you climb the hill. And of course, they're always over the top of a hill. I don't know why. Probably because it's hard. But anyway, so you climb to the top of the hill, and as you climb over the hill, and the sun just peaks into that golden hour, and you see that tail sticking up over the wet brush. And as you walk in, you know at any time that this moment of peace and tranquility could be turned into just utter chaos. So you've got a lot to think about there. As you move in, you've got a gun in your hands. You've got to stay on your feet. You're expecting these birds to flush at any moment, and you take a step, and then another step, and then just out of the blue, a bird flushes, and then more birds flush. And now you've got simply moments to do everything with the gun. So you got to set your feet, you got to get the gun to your shoulder, you've got to get the safety off, you got to track a bird, and try to take one for dinner, all in a whole lot less time than it took me to say that. Now, I've learned that, especially when I'm teaching it, that there's a beauty in watching those birds break out of the grass with the water splashing. There's this beautiful thing. Anyway, and sometimes as I've gotten older, and I run dogs quite a bit where I don't shoot these days. I still like to pull the trigger. Don't get me wrong, but there's a beauty in standing back, and instead of destroying that image with gunfire, just watching those birds fly away. There's something really cool and powerful about it, and I encourage everyone to do that once in a while.
Man, I love that. Getting to know you that one day. So when was that? Was that November, right? When we got so it would have been November. My wife had the opportunity to hunt behind one of Bret's dogs for a pheasant hunt for beginner hunters. And one thing that really stood out to me, and I mean I'm young, I don't have nearly experience that some of you uplander hunters have, but I've got to hunt behind quite a few different people I'd consider mentors in my life, but it was quite fascinating and quite an experience, and I still talk about it to this day with my wife, that just how much passion you have for what you do and your dogs. Like, I've met a lot of guys, and don't get me wrong, I know that they love their dogs. I know they love what they do. But there's something about what you bring to the table, and like all those new hunters, you could see it. Like, he is just an amazing teacher, and it's all with the passion that you have. So I really love that depiction that you gave of that, because it really encapsulates what you are and what you're doing out there. I love it.
Oh, thanks, Kellen. No, I'm glad you had a good time. Sadly, that wasn't the dog's best performance of the day. I think we only got a couple of birds pointed because something in the scent conditions at that particular session were kind of killing us. But he ran nice. He looked good, I guess.
He did look good. So that brings me to my next question here is, so you grew up, your dad with the German Shorthair Pointers. When did you make that transition to your English setters? I'm just curious.
So, well, I like to say this too. My dad's music isn't really for me either. So, no, I got to a point. So, my dad's dogs were all kennel dogs, and I had this misconception that German Shorthairs belonged in the kennel. I loved German Shorthairs at the time, and that would have been my first choice. But to me, Brittany seemed to be a better house dog. And I lived in an apartment where I had to have a dog in the house. And so I bought a Brittany puppy. And how does that lead me to setters? Well, I hunted over that Brittany puppy for most of my 20s. And he was my best friend. He was my fishing buddy. He was just an amazing dog. In fact, I didn't know anything about training dogs back then, but if you told me you can have one dog, your life depends on it, and you got to kill a rooster today, you can pull him from anywhere in the past, I would pull that dog out because he was just a rooster fool. And he was special in his own way. Never won a field trial. He wasn't steady on point, but he was cool. Anyway, as he got older, I was kind of in denial because he and I were so connected. And I had a buddy that had English setters, and I'd hunted over his dogs a little bit. Thought they were pretty cool. And he called me up one night, and he said, "Brett, I'm having a litter. You want to pop out of it?" And I said, "Well, I've got this Brittany. I don't really need a pup." And he said, "Brett, he's 8." I said, "Yeah." He said, "You think you're going to hunt over him forever?" I said, "No." And he said, "Well, put some thought to it." And I said, "I will." Anyway, I talked to my dad a little while after that. And my dad's like, "Yeah, he's right. You got to start something at some point." So anyway, I called the breeder back and told him I'd take a pup, and that was my first setter. And once you get that setter thing going, it's hard to go back. Yeah, well, and so he was just a really nice dog and just a gentle soul. He wasn't the most intelligent dog I've ever had. He was kind of we used to call him Eeyore because he always looked sad, but until he was hunting, then he was happy. But he was just like this dopey dog and honest on birds. Gosh, he was really a really super dog, but there was nothing special about him, But I loved that, and I loved that. Like my Brittany, it's not a breed thing, but my particular Brittany he didn't like kids very much, and I wanted dogs that I could not be scared to have around my friends' kids and everything else, and so he certainly had those qualities, and that's what drove me down the setter loophole. And then their athleticism is watching a setter run is poetry in motion to me. So that's why.
No, I love that. And as we were talking at that hunt that one time, I've been looking into when we get a house and can have our own dogs. Right now we're not with renting, but I've definitely looked into setters. I've always loved setters. Never had them. I've never known anybody in my family or close friends that have hunted behind them, but I've always had a deep fascination on them. I've loved watching them work, and then getting that opportunity to come and see your dogs work, that was quite the experience for me. So definitely have to keep posted when we finally get a house and figure it out, because I think that's the breed I'm definitely focused on.
Well, I think I remember you like to hunt grouse a little bit. Why don't you, hit me up and hold me to it in September, and let's go hunt grouse over one of my dogs, and you can see them on actual birds rather than just the pen raised variety.
Yes, definitely. I couldn't turn that down at all.
Cool.
Definitely
That'll be
not.
fun.
No, I love that. So with your dogs, you do a lot of the field trials. Would you like to talk a little bit about that, how that works, how you got into that, and a little bit about just your dogs in general, what you got right now?
Yeah, yeah. So my dogs, they're NSTRA dogs. I run them in NSTRA, which stands for National Shoot to Retrieve Association. I've been doing that for about about 15 years, give or take. It all started with a little dog named Tick, who was out of some NSTRA stock further back than I would have liked, but he's what I could afford at the time. And I started training him to run in trials, and he was a slow learner, and I'm kind of a slow learner too. We struggled a little bit, but after a while, we found some success, and when he found success, he just kind of took off, and he really did well. He won a regional championship, and I think he championed 4 times in his life. He was a nice dog, but he got me just hooked on that NSTRA game, and for a long time it was really fun. I mean, it's you go head to head with another hunter and another dog. They put 5 pen raised quail or chukar in the field, and you've got 30 minutes to find as many birds as you can. With another dog running the same field trying to find the same birds. It's really fun. It's competitive. The nature of the competition is mostly friendly, almost always friendly. The other guys that can compete regularly are salt of the earth type of guys, and ladies, lots of ladies that are getting involved with it more and more all the time, actually, which is wonderful. And anyway, so that's how I got into the dog trials a little bit, and the type of trials that we run. They're not horseback trials; they're walking trials. You can search National Shoot to Retrieve Association online, and you can find our Utah chapter website. You can also find the national website, and there's a lot of information, including rule books and things you can study. And if you want to come out, we always invite anybody to come out to a NSTRA trial, any trial you see posted, come out. If you don't know anybody, look up my picture online and come introduce yourself. I'll introduce you to some people. We'll get you on a 4-wheeler with a judge to go out and watch the dogs. It's a great time, a great experience, and a lot of really fun people. So I would encourage any of your listeners to come out, and wherever you live, there's a NSTRA, probably. So that's the trial thing, briefly.
Okay.
The dogs that I have come out of horseback stock, almost always all age stock. I like dogs that can run. Right now I've got the 5-year-old dog that I think that's what Rachel hunted over was Rocks. He's all white.
Yep.
Sunrise. Yeah. So that's Rocks. He's my 5-year-old. He's a NSTRA champion. I think he's got 2 on his name. He's a good little dog. He's happy-go-lucky all the time. He's kind of a joker. He's just kind of a dog that just makes you smile watching him. He's just happy. And then I've got an older dog that's 7, and he's I call him the doofus online. If any of your listeners follow me, they'll know who the doofus is. He does things kind of his own way. He was the most challenging dog I've ever trained. He somehow managed to be successful in NSTRA, but it's been a fight the whole way. Anyway, he's a lovable guy, but he's not the most classy bird dog in the world. Then I have a young prospect who's 2, who is out of a frozen semen breeding from a dog that was in his prime in about 1998. So it's like old school blood bred back with some newer stuff, and he's fun. I call him Trace, and I'm just finishing him out. And then I've got an old dog that's she's 13 and a half, and she's 6-time NSTRA champion, 4-time region champion. She was just the dog of a lifetime, and it's a shame to see her get old because I really miss her production and just her presence in the field. She was just a master especially Chukars. Gosh, she loved to hunt Chukars. So that's the dogs I have right now, and they're all out of either all age stock or shooting dog stock. Field trial stuff.
Okay. I just want to say one thing. If you don't, you need to go follow Bret. I got a kick out of the story about the doofus not that long ago. So
Yeah.
everybody needs to go back and give that short little read. You need to go read that because it's quite the story encapsulating. I love it.
Yeah, that was a pretty horrifying day for me, but fortunately everybody got to laugh about it a little bit, so that's fun. The post is called "The Doofus Got Put on IR," or "Snaps Got Put on IR," or something like that.
Right. I got a kick out of that one, and definitely everybody else did as well. So I'd like to talk a little bit about. I know this is Upland Game Podcast, but I want to go a little bit into your duck calling and waterfowl part. Kind of go into that, whatever you'd like to share.
Yeah, so probably most of your listeners don't know too much about competitive calling. It was a much bigger thing, 20 years ago than it is today. It's kind of fallen off some. But there's a championship every year on Thanksgiving weekend in Stuttgart, Arkansas. And the top guys from the country, you have to qualify to get in, and it's hard to get. Well, at least for me, it was hard to get qualified to get in. It took me 8 years to qualify the first time. And they crown a world champion, and it's like any sport. It's judged. You have a song you have to play. So the duck call is a musical instrument. And the call that you blow in those is a single reed Arkansas style duck call. And you're required to play. It's sort of like a song. You have requirements that you have to go through. There's 5 requirements. You have to hail the birds, and you have to be loud and powerful, and you have to take the call all the way to the top end, and convince the judges who cannot see you that you're the most powerful caller in the universe with control. So you have to demonstrate control throughout the call from the top of the scale to the bottom of the scale. And then you have to greet the birds. You have to have a feed call. You have to pretend you've lost them and give them a comeback call. And the comeback call is sort of it's everybody does their version of the same thing. It's called a 3-topper or a triple comeback. And you have to go to the top of the scale and to the bottom of the scale 3 times in one breath. And then you greet the birds again, feed them again, and settle them down with a lonesome hen call. And you have to do all that in 90 seconds. And it's hard. It's challenging. It's fun. The people, it's just like dog sports, or the people they're all guys that you have a common interest with. You've studied, you've practiced. Guys that win that, they practice 2 hours every day of their lives, not just like in the summer. They practice all year, 2 hours a day, blowing scales and everything else. Anyway, it's a real thing. If you've never experienced what that's like before, you can just search World Championship Duck Calling Contest on YouTube or something. There'll be a lot of really good callers on there. I was in the world of competition callers. I was extremely mediocre. I did fairly well in my home state, but I never did anything worth talking up or anything in the World Championships. Finished middle of the road usually. So, but it's fun.
That's still quite the accomplishment, more than I can say.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That is amazing. I mean, I know they do at our outdoor conservation expo that we have here. I've seen them do a little bit of that, but
that's where the state championship is for Utah.
Is it?
It's at the expo coming up. Yeah, if you're good on a duck call and you ever wanted to compete, get involved, man. It's fun, and there's not enough people doing it anymore. And there's a little bit of money to be made in it. Not a lot, but a little bit.
There you go, a little bit of motivation to get it going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just curious on that part, because I mean, I've done a little bit of waterfowling, but not a whole lot. Like I said, my dad grew up doing a lot of it, but I've definitely focused more on the upland side of things. But
yeah,
that's quite the accomplishment, though.
and both waterfowl and upland are fun for two different reasons. And I don't want to go down the waterfowl wormhole too much, but there was a time when I didn't have a lot of gas money and the marsh was close, so I could hunt ducks much cheaper than I could hunt upland game. So I'm your age, I'm living in an apartment and money's tight. I could hunt. I could do a lot more hunting for my dollar in the duck marsh.
Right.
Yeah. So nowadays I hunt a lot more upland than I do waterfowl.
I feel like especially in our area, there's a lot of waterfowlers, and I mean for a good reason. I grew up out in Corinne, so
Yeah.
I mean a lot of good opportunities for a lot of people.
Well, the Great Salt Lake is a waterfowl magnet.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's really neat, especially for listeners here in the northern Utah area. That's pretty cool.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I worked hard at it. I didn't ever accomplish my main goal was to win a world championship. I never even got close, but I worked really hard at it. It wasn't for lack of effort, I promise that. Lack of talent, probably, but lack of effort, no. So
that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, and I've got friends all over the country from competing in that game, and many of them hunt upland birds too. So anywhere I go in the country, I know people. It's really fun, and a lot of it has to do with that duck calling stuff. So,
I mean, you've had many accomplishments, and going to the next part from field notes to the fiction. I mean, you're out there writing books, and that's amazing. That's another accomplishment within itself.
When you wrote a book.
I did, and I don't think I'm going to be writing one anytime soon. That was difficult.
Yeah, it is hard. How long did it take you to write yours?
A few months for sure. But I mean, I had a lot of time. With where I work, there's quite a bit of downtime, and right now I'm studying communications in college, and that's kind of where this podcast came from. Is
sure.
Kind of started that up, and then I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to write a book, and it just goes along with what I'm studying, so I was like, I might as well give it a shot.
That's pretty cool. It's fun to spin a yarn, so to speak, isn't it?
It is.
I can't believe you did it in 2 months. It's frustrating to me. It took me 3 years.
Oh, it was more than 2 months. It was a few months.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was like, man. First you said a few months. I'm like, man, that's amazing. If I could turn out a book every few months, I don't know. I'd probably still have to work. But anyway, writing's fun. I like writing. I like writing books. I like having written much better than the actual writing experience. When it's completed, I'm sure you feel this, but when you spend a bunch of time on a project and it goes someplace that you're proud of, you put that final punctuation mark, and you did it,
Right.
Yeah. And that was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm writing another book. I don't know when I'll get it done. I hoped it would take me 3 years, and I've been on it for I think 4 or 5 now. And I mean, just finding enough time to write stuff like that is challenging, but anyway, we're still working at it. There will be another book, so I don't know when for sure it'll happen, when it'll be complete, but I'm plugging away at it slowly.
Oh, we look forward to that. I mean, I've been reading I'm 2 chapters in right now. If you want to find it, we can find it on Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. I also have a website set up to sell books, and if you want a signed copy, you buy from my website. I'll sign it for you. If you want to sign to you or something, or to somebody else, just leave notes, and I'll do whatever you ask. My shipping department all goes through my lovely wife Angie, so
I love it.
I just pretty much sign every copy that I sell from here. So
that's awesome. And you can also find it at the Upland Fly Store, right? Here in Utah.
Yeah, you can buy it at the Upland Fly Shop. Yeah, and my website's BretWonnacott.com. So
okay, and we'll post all of that when we do posts, so everybody can find that if you want to.
Yeah, and the Upland Fly Shop's in Uinta, the base of Weber Canyon for Utah folks. So
there you go. Now you know where to find it, and like I said, I'll get all that information and put it underneath the podcast so everybody can find it, and in the posts. as well. You can also reach out to Bret whenever you want to as well.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Of course. So when did you get or realize that you had a passion for writing? I'm just curious.
I mean, I don't know. I like to hunt alone. I'm kind of a lone wolf when it comes to hunting. I mean, I go with somebody sometimes, but most of the time it's just me and a dog. Often just one dog, just me and one dog. Um, but I like to share it, you know. And so I started just writing about, you know, the hunt I had yesterday. And you know, people on forums and stuff started liking it. Anyway, through that, and I heard about blogging, and I wasn't really much of a reader, but you know, people were blogging at that time, and so I started a blog, and I mean, that blog is still out there, but it's stuff I wrote 10 years ago. Um, anyway, so I started, I kind of enjoyed sharing my experiences in that way. It gave me time to, you know, it gave me time to put my thoughts into words in a special way, and I sort of liked spinning words and you know, changing sentences around, and that polishing, and I sort of liked that part of it. And then, you know, people seem to enjoy it, and I think at the end of the day, the passion for writing is writing something people enjoy, and they get some sort of an escape from the mundane life and into a book, or just an article or a short story. That little, you know, piece I wrote about snaps, which is all true, by the way. It was a horrible day. Anyways, but that's just an example of it. I mean, so many people got a kick out of that, and that's why I write, is for people to enjoy. I don't have any kind of, you know, delusion that I'm Ernest Hemingway or something, you know. I just like to tell a story, and you know, as long as there's somebody there to read that story and hear it, I'll be writing something.
I agree. With mine, it's a different way that you can escape. Like you said, I mean, for me,
Yeah,
I can speak a certain way, but when I'm writing, I write a different way almost. And I feel like
yeah,
I can describe and depict things a little bit differently. And it opens up your mind to different places and different things. And I completely agree when you're able to grab the reader or like on Facebook, your followers, it's a lot of fun to be able to see that and know that what you're putting out there and displaying is enjoyable for other people. That's really what's important about it.
yeah. I think so, and I think you touched on something there when you're writing fiction, and you sort of you create this world that's your own, and you sort of, when you're writing that story, you're in this world that you created, and you can move it anywhere you want to. You can drag things and change things, and there's something all powerful and all there's it's just really a neat place to be in that little world you created. That little 50s town I created in the Millionaire's Dream it was one of my very favorite places to go there for 3 years while I was writing that book. And was it like that for you? Did you kind of escape to your little world?
I did. So I've always been fascinated. I lived 1 year in Tennessee, and then, well, I want to go spend some time in Arkansas. I'm a big fan of Clay Newcomb that runs the Bear Grease podcast off of Meat Eater, and
Cool.
I love what he does, and through his podcast, I've really been able to gain an understanding of just like the Arkansas lifestyle. I mean, I lived in Tennessee for a little bit, and so I wanted to base it out of that area, but also bring it west as well to where we're at, and where it's actually in Montana. So, I mean, like you said, it's kind of fun to be able to like, okay, you know what, I wanna create this. I like this passion, and I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and that's you know, that's what writing fiction. That's what's fun about fiction is, you know, you can change the rules. You can move things. You can, yeah. I like that, and I like I like Arkansas. I've spent a fair amount of time in Arkansas. calling and hunting. I did a little bit of hunting down there at the festival from year to year, and man, Arkansas is a cool place.
Yeah, I'd love to go and visit and hunt. I mean, talk about waterfowling. I mean, you got what's that one area? I can't remember what it's called.
Thinking of Biometa?
Yeah, I believe so. I've heard them talk about that quite a bit.
Pronounce it. I'm from the West. I can't pronounce it. One of those boys. They'll tell you what it's called.
That's true.
Yeah, they have some really cool ground down there. I mean that's called the duck and rice capital of the world, Stuttgart, Arkansas, where we go. So that's what it is. The bad thing is I don't think they have quail there anymore, at least very many. Everybody down there tell me, well, Grandpa has a cubby out back. That's the only one we have. So they used to have quail, I guess. That's another story.
That's what I've definitely heard, and I mean, not to go on anything, but that's kind of like what my book kind of went around is I've heard from so many uplanders, especially in the Appalachian mountain range, that upland game is just really falling apart slowly. So
I think it has. I think you did well there. I'm looking forward to reading it. I bought it, but I haven't had a chance to sit down with it yet.
Well, yeah, you got to critique me.
Oh, I'm not in a position to critique anybody. I mean, you wrote a book. It's a book. It's either you like it or you don't. That's kind of how it's true. Either you like it or you don't. It's not good or bad. In its nature, it's a work. It's either to your taste or it isn't.
Right.
It's cool.
At the end of the day, it's your work, and you put in what you
I'm certainly in no place to critique anybody. I mean, I can't. I'm just happy to have gotten away with pulling one off. Actually getting it published, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing in itself right there.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, kind of going into the last little bit, I mean, you're a hunting mentor, a member of the Utah Chukar and Wildlife Foundation, and spent quite a bit of time on KSL Outdoors. How did all of that come to be for you, and how's that shaped you in what you do?
Well, I don't know that any of it necessarily shapes me. I mean, KSL Outdoors, Adam is a friend of mine. I enjoy helping him bring his show to people. I like his motivation. I like him as a man. He's a good man. And I enjoy sharing what I do with a whole bunch of people and show that it can be done by just, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just a schmo. I live in a common house in a subdivision on a quarter acre, just like everybody else. And I'm just a schmo. You can go out and you can do this. And that's the reason, that's my motivation for doing KSL Outdoors, is just to share the passion for what is bird dogs and upland hunting. The Chukar Foundation is a whole different passion. And the Chukar Foundation the Chukar Foundation started in about 2004, I believe. And I wasn't a part of it back then. I'd been doing conservation work all my life. So I did some stuff, volunteered for Ducks Unlimited and Pheasants Forever and Delta Waterfowl, and Utah Waterfowl Association and on and on. But it was actually about the same time I started doing KSL Outdoors, or a little bit before that. I heard about the Chukar Foundation, and I really liked that it was a local outfit and that all the money stayed local. Like Pheasants Forever is great. Some of the money goes goes all around the country to different projects and places. Some of the money at banquets I know stays at home, but the Chukar Foundation, it's something like 97% of the money, the revenue that we bring in, goes back to the resource.
Wow,
that's incredible. So we have no paid employees. It's all volunteers. The board consists of a bunch of really, really good, well-intentioned men who love birds and love wildlife and public lands. Most of these guys, I've served on the board since I think about 2009 or 2010, somewhere in there. And most of these guys, many of them, have been with the association or with the foundation that long. And I mean, these guys, the work that they do just to plan a guzzler project, or to to fence off a riparian area, to keep cattle out, or uh, just those little things, or even just the work done to put on the banquet every year, the annual fundraiser. I mean, these guys are special, and you can't help but rub elbows with guys like that and have a little of that rub off on you. Um, so the members of the Chukar Foundation are another group. They're not. they're Chukar hunters,
Right.
and Chukar hunters we're a special breed.
That is
we
true.
like to we like to climb that mountain that no one else has any interest in being on, and we'll do it in the snow. We'll do it in the mud. We don't care, just to get that cubby flush. So you get a bunch of guys like that together that are passionate about things, and I maybe I'm overusing that word a little bit, but passion, but I don't think there's a better word. You get all those guys in a room at the banquet, and everybody's shaking hands and talking about how great the bird season was, or how poor it was, or where they struggled, or man, it's a great sense of camaraderie. So circling back to where the revenue goes, uh, we do a lot of guzzler projects, and we have a guzzler crew that goes out and maintains those guzzlers, and that's become more important as some of those guzzlers are aging, some of them are getting rather old, and then we have two universities that do studies on upland game. Utah State, Dave Dahlgren and Eric Thacker and their crew, they've been working on this dusky grouse study for years, and we've been helping to fund that. And I think that's important to all of us to better understand dusky grouse, because we don't really know very much about them at the end of the day. So that's someplace that we like to spend our money. We like to help, anything that has to do with outreach for upland game. It's not just simply Chukars. We'll put in for a habitat project on one of the WMAs or something. We try to keep our money headed towards projects on public lands, and it doesn't always turn out that way, but it always turns out in a way that if it is something on private land, and that's very rare, it benefits the public land around it. So we work pretty hard at that. We're volunteers. We sometimes have projects that we don't get to just because we don't have time. We do have a couple of guys that are retired that work really hard at getting everything done. We did have a guy that was on the Habitat. I think he's still on the Habitat Council as of right now, for a few years, and that's an important voice, because the Habitat Council drives what projects get funded at the state level. So projects for upland game, he could be a strong voice in that. The Chukar Foundation funds. They fund my little high school program, where I go around and visit FFA classes and talk to them about wildlife management and hunting and hunting's role in wildlife management. And I always take someone from an upper level Division of Wildlife Resources employee, or a professor from one of the universities, or someone like that, to talk about their job and how hunting is a part of what they do. Anyway, there's a lot of things the Chukar Foundation does that's really, really good for upland game in Utah. And I would encourage everyone, if you're in Utah and you're an upland game hunter, even if you're not specifically a Chukar hunter, come out and support us. We have a banquet on February 28th. It's coming right up at the Davis Conference Center. You can find us online at utahchukars.org.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that. About 97% goes right back to the resource. Wow.
Yeah.
That is quite the organization.
Well, it is. And the one thing that I've learned is having an all volunteer organization is really cool, because a higher percentage of the money goes back to the resource, or goes back into what it's intended for. The problem is you don't have like Pheasants Forever has paid employees, so they've got people that are paid to do that for a full-time job. Whereas I worked today, come home, if I have to do something for the Chukar Foundation, that's a society gig, right?
Right.
So it's a lot harder to get things done. It takes a lot of dedicated people. And I will say this, we could use more board members. So if you're interested in being a board member, reach out. Reach out to get on shootchuckers.org, reach out to Alan or Travis or myself, say you're interested in being a part of it on more the organizational level, and we'll start inviting you to board meetings and come out and see if you want to be a part of it, and if you're someone that fits into the greater good of all of us upland hunters in Utah. Gosh, we could use some fresh blood.
No, I love that. I mean, especially in the time that we are right now. I mean, I don't have to say it, but as we already know, with all the public lands,
yeah,
it's up to us. We're the stewards of it, and if we want to take care of it, it takes guys like you, me, and everybody who loves it as a passion to bring it all together at the end of the day.
Yeah, especially sportsmen, and we're in the history of the United States, we've been the ones driving conservation. And we should continue to drive conservation. We should continue to help keep our lands public, and that's coming just from me personally. That's like, that has to be. I can't see it any other way. We have to do that. We have to save it for the future.
I completely agree, or nobody else is going to.
Yes,
it takes each one of us to do it.
It does. It does, and we're all in it together. So.
Yeah. And we've definitely been able to see that over the past few months, everybody coming together and making it happen.
Yeah, nothing else came good of all that nonsense. Everybody coming together and was nice. It was good. It was good to see the horns and the fins and the feathers all get together and make some noise.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often where we all have that opportunity.
This time, and hopefully it continues to happen anytime that threat shows itself.
I completely agree. Well, Bret, this has been a great opportunity to be able to talk to you here on the podcast. And it's been an honor and a privilege being able to speak to you and be able to share this with our listeners. I truly believe that everybody's really going to enjoy this podcast episode with you. But before we wrap it up, I always ask one question every guest, and that is, and especially coming from you as a hunting mentor, I feel like we could get a lot of good feedback and advice. But what is some advice or feedback that you would give new hunters coming up, or just anybody in general? Any good advice?
Yeah, I mean, I could write another book. I don't know if it's good advice. It's worth about what you paid for it. But one of the biggest things that I see, and there's a lot of working parts of hunting. You've got the dog, you've got the bird, you've got habitat, right? So in those things, I encourage folks to learn a little bit about the birds. Hopefully you can find a mentor to help you and get a year of hunting underneath you before you buy that first dog. It's challenging to bring up your first dog. It's even more challenging if you don't know anything about birds. I helped some people that were trying to bring up a grouse dog and they'd never seen a grouse. And it was one of the most, I watched those poor folks struggle, and I tried to help them, and it makes it challenging. So that's one thing I would say is try to understand a little bit about the birds before you get into the dog. Don't let me stop you from getting a dog. If you want a puppy, by golly, hey, get that puppy. Because it'll bring joy to your life. But that's the first thing. And the second thing I would say is stay out there. I see too many people in general just don't hunt long enough. You go out and you walk a couple miles and you don't find any birds, give it up and go home. Sometimes you gotta really walk before you come across birds, and all of a sudden you find where all the birds are, and they're all together for some reason, and that can teach you. Then you can start learning about why all those birds were there. Why were they there and not someplace else? You can really you can really put gather some knowledge by just staying in the field, not going home early, pack a lunch, stay on the mountain, keep working, keep looking, look for sign. You're looking for droppings. I don't know. That's probably the best advice is I can give people is just stay out there, stay on the mountain.
I love it. That's why I asked that question, because I couldn't say it better myself, honestly. I love being able to hear the advice that each guest has, and I completely agree. As long as you stay out, you're never going to, at least in my opinion, regret staying out longer, personally. That's just me.
No, and I've never, ever killed a bird from a couch. Not once.
Nope.
So,
I completely agree. Well, thank you so much, Bret. I mean, this has been a great opportunity. Thank you so much for your time, your support, and your dedication to the upland game tradition and everything that you do here in the state of Utah for our hunters and who you are and what you do. So thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kellen. I really appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck with all of your school stuff and your book.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you again, everyone, for listening to the Bird Camp Radio podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to Bret's story as much as I did. But before we go, everyone, I would like to release his time for the game. Bret, your time was 41.34 seconds, which puts him in 6th place. So thank you for listening, everyone. Please reach out if you have any questions. If you need to reach out to Bret, you know where to find him on Facebook and Instagram. If you have any questions for me, you know where to find me. Thank you again. You've been listening to Bird Camp Radio, where the high pines, marsh valleys, sagebrush seas, and shelf rock ledges always call us back. Until next time, keep your dogs close, your shot true, and your campfire stories ready to share. We'll see you back at camp. Don't miss out on the next episode, where we'll host our next guest on the podcast. You don't want to miss this one. Thank you.